I want to talk this morning about Christ. I have a picture of Christ behind me in the Garden of Gethsemane. I'll show it closer to you one day. So much charge around this one person. So many opinions. Christ is an inner spirit. And the many layers and tapestries of stories that surround Christ are here for our contemplation, for us to garner the fruits of those stories and understand what they mean for us. So one story that I came into my contemplation this morning as I sat quietly was the story, and spontaneously it just came in, the story of Christ in the marketplace and moving through the marketplace, which in itself is a wonderful metaphor. This being of light moving through a marketplace of people selling and busy and in their lives and in the illusion of their lives, and this one light moving slowly through, touching people, connecting, seeing them, awakening. And this one woman who creeps up behind him in the crowd that are pressing close to him, and she is enamored of him and in awe of him, and she touches she quietly from behind, just lightly touches his cloak or his back or his arm. I like to think maybe it was just his back, just a part of him. And then she draws her hand away because she just wanted to touch this purity just for herself. And then Christ stops immediately and shouts out, "Who touched me?" And the crowd falls silent. Who touched me? And then one of his disciples says, "Lord, everyone is touching you all the time. We're crammed in here in the marketplace. Many of us are touching." "No," he says, "someone touched me." And the woman comes forward. She says, "It was I." And he blesses her for her faith, her huge faith, that she's, he sees her. He sees right through into her. And that seeing opens her up. And one can imagine the turning point in her life, that as a turning point, and how after that point her entire life changed and she became a great soul. She was a great soul. She was waiting for that moment of awakening from the Master. And the Master comes, and sometimes we have to reach out and touch the Master. We have to reach out like that with our faith. And it's a beautiful story, and it continued in my contemplation. And I often think about a being like Christ or Buddha or one of these great avatars is not a single being. They are a collective soul, an oversoul. And when they come with this raiment. And that woman was one of her, part of his raiment, part of Christ, and they were predestined to come together and for her to touch him and him to awaken her. And it's not really a him to awaken her either. It's just the transmission of the light and how it moves through the drama of human life. And so they're one being through that extends itself through time and space. And even after Jesus has died and that's all gone, and then that being then continues, through its incarnation cycles. Now, not all, the central part maybe only incarnates that one time, right? Or perhaps it comes again in another form in some other yuga, some other great earth cycle. But the aspects of the raiment, like the apostles, like all those people to whom miracles occurred, like this woman, were, their journey continues, their journey through the cycles continues. So I just found myself travelling along her emanation, and it came out in Mother Julian. Mother Julian is one of the ecstatics that I have done. The first one I did. The ecstatics is an audio series I've done, a free series that is about the awakening of the heart in different people. And Mother Julian was a medieval mystic. And I like to think, I like that idea that Mother Julian was that woman. This great medieval mystic, this soul, this woman that had this huge experience of the passion of Christ, which you can hear about on my ecstatics, was that woman. The woman that touched his raiment. And that led to her being a great, the arrival of her great higher soul that continued, with his, it's not a his, with that light, that Christ light pouring through her and continued through her cycles of incarnation until her incarnation comes to a glorious crescendo in itself. So sometimes when we contemplate these things, mysteries continue to open and unpeel and unpack themselves. So it gives me great pleasure to share these musings and these contemplations and these fragments. So I hope you enjoy that one and consider it for yourself, and consider the import of these simple stories and take them in. Imagine it was you. Imagine you were there. Imagine you were the Christ. Imagine you were that woman. And listen to Mother Julian, and you'll see where the story continues.